For centuries, people have been swimming, boating, and fishing in the lakes of Minnesota without giving a thought to their origin. Geologists claim that the lakes are the result of so-called natural forces, such as the melting of past glaciers, tectonic processes, and erosive forces. But other experts have made claims of such lakes having other origins. Is it possible that there is some truth behind these claims? Could we have been wrong all this time? In the middle portion of Minnesota, there lies a suspicious configuration of lakes.
When you look at the map of Minnesota, a certain part of it just jumps out at you. And that's the area where the lakes form an M exactly. Now, how is this significant? In 1940, the zodiac sign of the Scorpio, the most evil zodiac sign of them all, known in certain circles as the evil sign, became prominent, and it is also an M. Another feature of the Scorpio zodiac sign is the inclusion of a pointy end, which, as everyone knows, signifies evil. Not only that, but the direction of the tail is highly significant.
The tail of the Scorpio zodiac sign lake formation points towards the east, and in the east, there is the Sphinx of Giza.
Now, I'm not implying the Sphinx of Giza is evil, but if it was, that would explain why the Scorpio zodiac sign lake formation of Minnesota is pointing to it. So, the Sphinx of Giza is evil.
The Egyptians had a saying, Wayu Pandini, which when translated to English roughly means evil, evil.
The pharaoh who oversaw the creation of the Sphinx of Giza quite liked this saying, based on ancient writings about the pharaoh.
Certain hieroglyphics that are found near the Sphinx of Giza show pictures of the pharaoh speaking, and since Wayu Pandini was such a common saying at his time, it's very likely that he was saying it in the hieroglyphics, which would mean that the Egyptians sculpting the Sphinx of Giza had evil on their mind, making it an evil structure. So that's one clear reason we know that Minnesota's lakes were created by evil.
But there is more evidence of Minnesota's lakes being conceived and later contrived by evil. Experts look at the evidence that lies in the shape of the state's borders, in particular, the area that juts out above Minnesota called the Northwest Angle.
The northwest angle, known as the Angle by the locals, is very strangely shaped. It's the only portion of the contiguous United States that lies above the 49th parallel, which is the line of latitude that the governments of the United States and Canada agreed that it was the designated line that separates any US state and any province of Canada, which is interesting.
Now, the Northwest Angle could be there for two reasons. The first is that it just happened that way and no one really cared. The second and far more feasible possibility is based on the fact that the Northwest Angle primarily consists of a lake. Look at it! It does! Now, why is this significant? Well, I'll answer your question with a question. Why would Canada give the US precious territory? Any country wants all the land it can attain. Clearly, Canada gave the United States the Northwest Angle for a reason.
Experts have discovered evidence of the Canadian government lying to the world about this area of the North American continent. They withheld the truth from the US.
The northwest angle of Minnesota is really quite an anomaly. There is nothing else like it in the world. every other country's border is a straight line. Now, I'm not saying that Canadian locals saw something in the area of the northwest angle and contacted their government, leading to the Canadian government ridding their country of whatever they saw there. But, and I'm emphasizing but, if that is what happened, it would explain the northwest angle.
We actually see endless evidence of some Canadian defectors warning the Americans of the evil they saw in the area. For example, I'll give you an example. If you look at any three rocks that are near each other in the area, they always form a triangle every time. My team went there and I saw it myself. Every time. And what does a road sign generally mean if it's in the shape of a triangle? A warning. A warning to stop. A warning to not go. A warning to halt. The Canadians may as well put up signs that say, "Don't come here. The lake's origin is evil," which of course it is, along with every other Minnesota lake.
Now, I'm certain that the Canadians of Canada reported to the Canadian government about this endless, terrible evil. So, why did the US just swallow the northwest angle like a bad pill without knowing that it's bad? I'm fully certain that Canada did not share this information with the US because of some official documents from the Canadian government that we call the Black Pages.
We call these documents or papers the Black Pages because all of the pages are blacked out to such a degree that not even the best deciphers can make out. It's believed that they had too much ink and not enough paper, so they created the Black Pages. It's a fact that the Black Pages contain the evidence because if it wasn't there, where would it be? We did some 3D, three-dimensional digital reconstruction of the Black Pages if they were unblackened. Right in the middle of the page, it says that they saw evil things there. Right there! Middle! Clearly Canada did this and left Minnesota with an evil chunk.
In 2020, the number of lakes in Minnesota is up to 11,842, the most lakes per capita of all U.S. states. Perhaps whatever formed these lakes wanted to give clues about their origins in this number. For years, experts have been analyzing this number and have found many connections between it and their theories.
The first thing everyone wonders, whether in their head or aloud, when they hear the word lake is, well, how many lakes? So it would make sense that so many clues would be encoded in 11,842. The first characteristic, if you notice about it, is that the sum of its prime factor is 224, which follows 223 and precedes 225. According to some experts, the number 224 signifies that your relationship will experience different kinds of storms sooner or later. Storms and women are evil.
Another important characteristic that people often forget about the number 11,842 is that the color resulting from it being examined as a hexadecimal value is a darker blue. If this color is inverted and its hue adjusted a bit, it appears a dark, large, almost ominous red. We all innately know that red signifies evil. Also, Minnesota's largest lake by square mile or square kilometer by far is Red Lake, Minnesota's biggest, scariest lake, which is also very near the northwest angle, by the way.
In 1993, a team led by J.L. Wakenbarg went on an evil expedition to document what they had found at Red Lake. When they neared it, they found something strange. They saw another lake, Lake Sacrificial. When they called out to any possible evil creatures to show themselves, they caught this photo and this audio. The monster retreated, and Wakenbarg's team set up camp for the night. When they started their fire, they noticed something odd.
The fire that resulted from J.L. Wakenbarg's team setting fire to the wood glowed an orange kind of color, which is very close to red on the color spectrum. And it was hot to the touch, so much so in fact they couldn't touch it for too long, and they felt weird feelings of hate.
This was a strange phenomenon that had been recorded in other places that are speculated to have evil origins, such as the ruins of the ancient kingdom of Mapugambwe in South Africa.
Fire of this kind, orange and hot, which has been referred to as fire, has probably been recorded in ancient writings found in the kingdom of Mapugambwe. There were tablets discovered that couldn't be deciphered, but they most likely said something about this kind of fire. And when my team traveled there to start a fire, it glowed orange and was hot. We felt strange and evil.
Now, the kingdom of Mapungabwe is a strange kingdom. When you look at what's left of it, you wonder if evil created these structures. There are clues everywhere of this kind of thing. In all the structure's size, the way they look, how little they've moved over the past 3,000 years, it really is strange. So it's no surprise that this kingdom is connected to this hot and orange fire, which was recorded to happen near Lake Sacrificial.
Another clue lies in the shape of Lake Sacrificial.
The shape of Lake Sacrificial clearly resembles that of a goat, which in many myths and stories is the symbol of evil. The story of the man-goat from the Greeks, for example, details a disgusting, evil goat with the body of a man that acts evil everywhere it goes. It would do nasty things like what evil would do. So this lake is highly significant in putting together the puzzle of the origin of Minnesota's lakes. The evil likely shaped the lakes.
Now, the other very strange fact, or truth, depending on your IQ, about Lake Sacrificial is that there's a cave system that underlies it in a physical way, called the strange, wandering, wide, long, meandering caves of Sabitata. Not to be confused with the Star Wars Cave of Evil. What's really strange about these is that there's water in them, which is unexplainable by conventional science. Water does not lie below Earth's surface, except in these caves, of course. People can drown in this water. Sends shivers down my spine thinking about it, about how evil it is.
It's really quite easy to notice this kind of thing when you look at the map in direct sunlight. The thing is, if you compare the map of the caves to other maps of caves, the caves underneath Lake Sacrificial are clearly evil. It isn't undeniable proof, but it is clear to see.
Experts have also recently deciphered the different kinds of evil that likely created the lakes of Minnesota.
There are only two kinds of rocks, igneous and sedimentary. Igneous rocks have 4 types: thunk, fetch, fesketh, and sand, or granules of type 2. Sedimentary rocks have 8 types: toop, bostiad, and pape. Each of these exactly precisely corresponds to a faction. There are millions of factions, but we've narrowed it down to 12, each owned by a powerful group of evil. The 2 most powerful factions are the Fortis, or the Strong, and the Calidus, or the Sneaky, and of course, the strong runner-up, the Fastest, which roughly translate to calendar.
The Fortis were a solid, mighty, rugged, and firm society that dominated more than 30% of Minnesota based on current rock formations.
Since the Fortis are strong, they've historically been represented as large, strong men in picture form, and that's just the truth. And if you notice, all the largest lakes were created by the Fortis faction, as can be seen by the rocks and rock formations that are around these lakes. The Thunk and Feskvith rocks are always around these larger lakes, and every Thunk rock that is split open has an evil pattern. How do we know it's evil? Reasoning. It clearly is, and whenever these rocks are found together, they're near each other. Obviously a sign for Fortis. And the Fortis have a saying, Torque, Reedy, and Holg Y, which likely means we created the lakes out of evil. And they constantly said that, probably.
The Calidus were largely hidden from the Fortis and the other 10 factions, but occupied more than 3/4 of the area now named Minnesota, with a population of about 50 million, nearly 8 times higher than any other civilization of the time.
The Calidus hid behind everything. When they heard people coming, they'd hide themselves behind a nearby rock or bury themselves underground, sometimes up to 15 feet or 11 meters in kilometers under. As we've been able to tell from the rocks from the Calidus faction lying that far down. The Calidus faction, rocks of course being Toop and Pape.
The Fortis and Calidus factions are believed to be what first planted the evil seeds of the hateful energy that surrounds the lakes of Minnesota, as evil scientist George Wallen has studied.
So first of all, I'd just like to clarify, I'm an evil scientist in the sense that I study evil. I'm not an evil person, I have a clean record, I'm good, I'm a good person, I had a good upbringing. So anyway, out here in Lake Vermilion, which is riddled with fesks and pape rocks, the evil can be felt in a very strong way, in a very profound way. And it's actually horrifying. I feel tingles down my spine, and I gotta get out of here as quickly as I can. It's unbearable.
Now, about these lakes, I feel two things. I'm excited because evil is so interesting, and I'm angry and frustrated that evil is there. I feel afraid sometimes. We don't know the future, but I'm here to spread as much information about this issue that I can.
Some people are doubtful. Some people don't understand. But I know the evil is there. I feel it all the time. People don't believe what they can't understand. And in a lot of ways, this evil can't be understood. But it starts with us. We, as a people, need to come together and stand against evil and wicked lakes.
Is it possible that these ideas are true? Is it possible that the lakes of Minnesota have other, more evil origins, and these evil factions have left their patterns and clues for scientists to discover? What other mysteries about the world remain to be solved? What other clues about their origins are waiting to be discovered?